So, pen and ink and watercolour. Let's draw something out. Southbank, in the rain, people walking down the... Let's see what we can do here. I can't see the camera, unfortunately, so can't answer any questions because I can't see the screen. But I'm just gonna... I've only got half an hour for this one. Running a bit late today. It's been a good day in the studio, and we've created lots of nice things. But I've run out of time, so St. Paul's. Let's not get too fussy with detail. I'm actually gonna, while the ink is still wet, go over with some water and to create a little bit of interest and looseness. I'm using the rough Arches paper again. I like the way the ink pen makes these marks. So I'm just drawing out very rough. Just letting the pen dance across the surface. And these thicker bits of ink will be perfect for me when I add water. They will really bleed into the watercolour paper and create a great effect. And then I'll go over some watercolour washes. Not many, I'm just going to keep it very simple. And that's it, basically. Obviously, the hardest bit is actually drawing it out. So I'm thinking about perspective. So the point of perspective is up here somewhere. So everything's leading towards that. Let's put in another post here. So I'm off to London again next Thursday for... I've got a show at Covent Garden, and it starts at 6 o'clock. If you're in London, get in touch with Castle Galleries, Castle Fine Art, and come and see the show. There's going to be lots of paintings of London and New York. It's part of my kind of joint show with New York. There's also a book now, so it's a really cool book with all the paintings that are in the show as well. Exciting times. Let's put some people in. They'll respectively, I think, about here. Okay. I always like to do a few flicks of ink. And then there's a row of trees which go up around here. So I'm on day 112, I think. So I've done one of these basically every day for 112 days, which has been great fun. And the way that I've painted each day has been different, really. I started in gouache. I'm going to probably go back to gouache, but it's good to mix it up. I've enjoyed trying different things, different techniques. And I'm just going to flick some paint up that way. Beth, would you mind getting us some water, please, mate? Okay, so I'm now going to just wet the surface, and we'll see what happens with the ink. It should create a really cool effect. Thank you. Tuck. Right, here we go then. So I'm not going to wet all of it at this moment in time. I'm just going to go for the darker areas. And then reflection. And then, so I'm thinking about where the darkness is on the buildings. Because the ink is still wet, it allows me to do this. I'll put in more reflection, more shadow in the water. Darker here. So I'm just using, obviously, clean water. See, the ink is dry there, so it's not allowed me to, but I can always just drag a bit of the ink from somewhere else. So I'm just creating the illusion of windows and buildings. Needs to be lighter back here because obviously that's further away. Just run into the people. A bit more structure there. The railing goes off into the distance. I'm going to put a reflection of the people in. Not a reflection, sort of like, well, yeah, a reflection shadow. There we go. And then let's work on these trees. I'm using a dry brush effect here. Works really well with this weight of paper. And then I'll do the reflection going down. And then I'm going to nick a little bit of ink from over here and that's just the surface of the walkway. I just want to make it darker at the front so your eye is dragged back. A little bit dark. That's okay. I'm just going to take a little bit of that darkness away. Re-wet it. And now I'm just going to put the shadow, the shadow and the reflection back. While the paper's still wet, you can see how the ink just spreads perfectly. Okay, so right, so I'm going to dry that now. I actually really like it as it is, and I am going to add a little bit of tonal colour, but very minimal because I don't think it needs it. But I'm going to dry it, which will take a few minutes. So I apologise about the noise. It's not very pleasant. So. Right, so I'm now going to just add some watercolour. I'm just going to get some clean water. Okay. So, watercolour. So, just going to give it a very muted tonal wash. I don't think it needs a lot of colour. Just let's see how we go on. This is wet onto, it's called wet on dry. So I'm going to go around a few bits and pieces just to create a bit more light in areas. You've got to remember that watercolours dries so much lighter. Than when you first put it on. You'd hardly see that when it's done. Okay, so now I'm going to add a little bit of blue. I've got some silver in here somewhere as well. Okay. And then just add in a tint of colour in the back here. I don't care that that's run into there, it's part of the piece. Put in a bit of a reflection, keeping it really thin, really loose. Going to keep some white as well, paper colour. A little bit too blue. It's better. And then so this is where you've got the wet pathway. So I'm doing a similar colour to the sky, just slightly darker. Just put a bit more colour in the sky. Cool. And then I'm going to add some greenery. In the trees. Because the paper's wet, it's just going to run, just a nice little tone. Like so. And then a little bit of colour for the and that's pretty much it. I want to keep it really loose, and I'm not going to use any gouache in this one. I think it's nice, it's subtle, simple, but it says where it is, and it doesn't need any more work, I don't think. So I'll dry that, and I'll post it, and I'll probably do a time lapse as well. So thanks again for watching, and I'll try and do another one tomorrow. Thanks a lot.